Hey, what is up, friends? JaCubAsAlways back here today with ITL Week 7 up against Blue Victini. This is the second time we faced Blue in the season. We faced them earlier on, I think in Week 3 or week 2 or Week 3, and yeah, definitely going to be a fun one. Blue is a very good player, and he's a good friend of mine, and he's definitely got a threatening team. The last time we faced Blue, we had Alamamola, and during the break, we have obtained Suicune over Alamamola. We've had Suicune for a couple of weeks now, but um, yeah, that definitely means that playing around his threats, I'll have to play a bit differently. But basically, like, chances are Blue and I will face in playoffs. I've obviously got my playoff spot locked, but it's looking like Blue will, definitely make it to playoffs too. I think there's like a guaranteed chance basically. We can potentially face Blue in playoffs depending on if he beats Trev or not in playoffs. So that means that I may not want to reveal too much about the team I'm bringing today. If I didn't need to maybe reveal certain sets, just stuff like that. Because I'm like one of the only people uploading for this league. So, yeah. So basically we've got my Fundy, we've got the Lando, Suicune, Licky Licky, nice Cabalion, nice Decidueye. So you can see he's brought the Delmise, the Azu, the Electivire, the Hippo. You guys know all the names of the Mons. And yeah, definitely a threatening team. He left at home stuff like Volcania, which is interesting. But Jirachi, yeah, definitely going to be an issue for the team. Hydreigon looking like a threat depending on its set. And yeah, Azumarill could be a number of things. So we'll jump into the match. I think looking at his matchup, I think he's probably going to try and pressure rocks early. But depending on my lead, he may fear like a Suicune lead or like a Thunderous lead to pressure out his Hippodon. But he actually chooses to lead off with Delmise, so this kind of implies that he was perhaps expecting me to go for my rocks early. Delmise is a pretty solid check to Landorus, but of course I am Z Landorus, so I can run Z Fly on that. It doesn't make it the best check in the world, but he's going to stay in here and go for the Shadow Claw, as I do take. He does take a decent chunk from knockoff. This is important. This knockoff damage tells me that he's definitely max HP. He's more than likely an Assault Vest, or it showed that he was an Assault Vest variant there. So he's like a fat attacking AV variant. That damage revealed to be that he was an invested in attack, so that's good to know. I'm going to be able to switch out to my Landorus here as he makes the play of going for Power Whip, which is going to do a decent chunk to my Landorus. My Landorus is like fairly offensive, but he's a -1, but this Power Whip is still going to do a lot of damage, so Delmise is really strong. As this turn I am just going to fire for Z Fly, really. It's going to pressure anything that wants to come in. It's going to pressure his Hippowdon if he wants to bring it in here, and it will obviously take up the Delmise there, as he is going to bring it in. This is really nice because it's going to do a huge amount of damage off, and depending on rolls, depending on his Hippowdon's investment, an Earthquake into a Supersonic Strike into a Earthquake will actually take out the Hippo. So we're gonna scout his damage here. Lando using its broken move, Supersonic Sky Strike, and yeah, this animation is pretty sick. I reckon. Like, Lando just looks so weird flying up into the air like that, and yeah, just nukes the Hippo. Does a big amount of damage. Right here, I am going to go for the Earthquake as he chooses to set up his Stealth Rocks this turn. Or he chooses to, I believe he chooses to Rocks this turn, yeah. Which is nice. And I am just going to go for the Rocks on my own. Now, I contemplated going for EQ and just taking him out here, but I really wanted Rocks chip on his team. Now that Landorus had used up his Sky Strike, I can't revenge Delmise as effectively. He's going to take me out here with the Ice Fang, so he chooses not to preserve his Hippowdon, which means that my Cabalion is looking like a big threat to his team at this point. So I'm going to go into my Decidueye here and just fire off a Spirit Shackle, I believe, as he's more than likely going to sack off his Hippowdon. It's looking to be in range of dying to Rocks, but he chooses to keep it, so he's going to preserve it as a sack, which is nice for him later in the match, as he brings in his Hydreigon, and it's not going to really appreciate all this chip damage, the Rocks, the Spirit Shackle, and the Sandstorm, but he may be packing Roost, so Hydreigon is really solid switch into Decidueye. And this turn I am obviously going to switch out. I'm not trying to stay in and take a Dark Pulse from this big threat, as my Decidueye is a defensive set, so it can definitely take on an Electivire, any variant of Electivire, if I can keep it healthy enough. I'm going to go out into my Licky here as he fires off the Earth Power, and that does a decent chunk, revealing his Life Orb variant, so he's going to be getting worn down by the rocks and the Life Orb quite nicely. I'm just going to go for Protect here, just to scout out his set, see what he wanted to go for, get some more lefties back, just get completely out of range of something like a Life Orb Superpower, as he's going to go for the Draco, so I know I can tank this, I know I can tank it quite well, even though he uses Life Orb, because Licky is fat, and I can just wish up here. He's going to reveal Roost here, which is really solid. This means that like Hydreigon is one of his best ways of checking my Decidueye. It really just doesn't care about taking the chip. It's not going to appreciate like a bug, like a U-turn, but really Hydreigon's nice and fat. So yeah, nice set by Blue. We're going to get the lefties back, and I believe this turn I am going to click Knockoff, as I know I can take a Draco and receive my wish at the end of the turn comfortably. Even if he did have Superpower there, I was out of range, so Knockoff is my play of choice. This is going to really reduce the amount of damage that this Hydreigon is dishing out, so stuff like Macabalion will even be able to take a Draco much easier than if he was a Life Orb variant. So I'm actually going to make the play of going for double Knockoff here, because I figured he was more than likely going to switch out this turn, expecting my Licky to just fire for, say, a Toxic, or wish up again, expecting a Draco. And this was, I did think he'd pull some sort of switch here, preferably into something like the Delmise, because if this Delmise can come in on like a wish, then it can easily tank one single Knockoff and get off a spin, which means that rocks are gone on his side of the field. So that is not something I wanted to allow, as we do get that play right, we do make the double Knockoff play. And Licky is going to be able to outspeed this Delmise this turn and just knock it out with a Knockoff. So that is huge. I felt like he was definitely baiting the second wish there, and yep, good to remove Delmise from the field of play, as now Azu is going to come in. Now this is an interesting point in the match, because Azumarill, as you all know, is a massive threat. Like, if this thing is a belly drum variant, I have to get damage off. I have to put it in range of my Decidueye. I need to put it in range of the rest of my team. If he's like a banned variant, I will be able to take any hit, barring a banned superpower. But if he's a banned superpower, then I get a nice revenge kill with my Decidueye. But Blue is actually going to reveal a pretty interesting tech. He's going to be Whirlpool. So the second I see Whirlpool, I realize he's Whirlpool Perish Trap, like Encore. As I'm just going to fire for Facade here, just as that would have dealt, if he was an offensive variant, that would have dealt significant damage to him after, taking the belly drum half. He would have been at around half after receiving a Citrus Berry, which would have been really nice for the rest of my team to revenge him. But he's going to reveal the Perish Song here, as Licky has, is not in a very good situation now, because I won't have my really solid check to Hydreigon. I'm going to have to rely on my Suicune and my Cobalion to check that monster, but the fact that I've knocked him off means that he's going to be easy to switch into. But this is really solid prep for my Suicune, so Blue came prepared for like a Carmine Suicune, so definitely can definitely respect that bring by my opponent, as he's going to Encore me into Facade, and we're just getting some chip. He will be forced to switch as well, because he obviously doesn't want to die. This is his way of beating potential Carmine Suicune. So he's gonna eventually be forced to switch, and Licky's gonna go down, which is really unfortunate, because this Mon, did really well versus the rest of his team and effectively 1v1'd it. But the threat of like a banned Azumarill's Play Rough, a like fast belly drum Azumarill, I couldn't really switch out into my Suicune, and if I had, that would have been just as bad, because I would have lost my Suicune to Whirlpool Encore Perish Trap. So Azumarill's going to rest up and reveal to have a Chester Berry, so he's going to be at a very high amount of health when he comes back in later in the match. So this is definitely looking like an annoying mon to face. He's going to switch out this turn, I believe sack off his Hippowdon. As he does sack it off, he's going to take that Rock's Chip and go down, as we are going to lose our Licky. Definitely unfortunate, but very nice prep by my opponent. And this is going to put us in a situation where we have Suicune, Decidueye, Thundy, and I believe Cobalion left. So Landorus and Licky have bit the dust. But we've still got the Mons to win this game, as he is I'm gonna send out my Cobalion as it matched up nicely versus anything he wanted to bring in. He chooses to bring in his Electivire here, and I kind of have to scout this Mon. Like, I know that I can kill it, even at this range with a high enough roll, but he's gonna switch out and go out into his Tyrion, which is his Jirachi, as I believe I switch out this turn. Oh no, I do stay and go for close combat because I knew I was out of range of a flamethrower from that range of health, as this reveals him to be an offensive Jirachi. He brought last time, I think he brought like leftovers or expert belt or something, offensive fast Jirachi. I know fast Jirachi is definitely a nice bring versus me, so I'm going to switch out into my Suicune here, knowing that if he's a Carmine variant I can take that on, as he is going to fire off, I believe he's going to click Drain Punch this turn, so Suicune taking that quite nicely. And the reason I went into Suicune is because I kind of want to bait in his Azumarill. He may think that like I've revealed to be a pretty bulky like defensive variant of Suicune, just judging by the way I took that Drain Punch. If he brings his Azumarill thinking he can trap me and do the same thing, I've got a little surprise for him. So he's going to bring in his Azumarill here, and this turn we are going to fire for Scald. I'm just fishing for that nice burn in case he wanted to stay in with Rachi and click like Toxic or something like that. But I didn't think he would risk getting burnt by my Suicune, as I could be a Rest variant, which would render his Toxic useless, and that trade for him just isn't worth it. I'm going to reveal Protect here. Now, he's going to go for the Whirlpool and attempt to trap me. Now, like, I could easily go out into my Decidueye here, which can't be trapped, and takes on this little Water Mouse. But I'm going to reveal Substitute here, make the flex play, and he is going to go for Whirlpool. And this has no chance in hell of like coming close to breaking my sub, as I'm going to be able to sit in here now and just click Scald. I think I Protect the next turn just to get some more recovery back. Basically what this Coon is going to do is it's going to stall out this opposing Azumarill's PP of like Whirlpool and like attacking moves versus me. He will like I don't know if Encore is affected by pressure, but it's going to be getting whittled nonetheless. I can stay in here and click Scald, and even if he Encores me into it, like I'm fine with that. The best thing he can do is like Rest, which gives the rest of my Mons like momentum to like come in and set up or recover. If he does want to like Encore here, that's fine. He can take it. Like I can take it. It's not like I'm trapped. I'm not Whirlpool trapped. So if he wants to click Perish Song, I'm free to switch out. That's not a problem at all, and I can get big chip off. Eventually, forcing this Azumarill to rest if he does want to go that route. As yeah, Suicune is just doing what it does best. As we're gonna keep getting that nice chip with Scald. He's gonna fire for Perish Song here. So like I said, it doesn't really like. The only thing it stops me from is just staying in indefinitely and clicking Scald. It is gonna force me out eventually, but that's fine. I know that my Suicune set can beat this Azumarill 1v1 if I need to. But he can like rest on me, but I have answers in the back to deal with this Azumarill. So he's gonna switch out here. He's gonna go out into his Hydreigon, which is pretty fine. Like he's gonna risk getting Scald burnt here, as he does take this Scald, and chip on this Hydreigon is nice. Pretty solid switching on his behalf because he has shown Roost, so I know he's doesn't really isn't really too concerned about taking Scald damage. We do get the burn, which is solid. So yeah, this Hydreigon is going to be getting that nice 6% each turn, nice chip. And this turn I do expect him to go for Roost. He could alternatively go for Earth Power here, but I feel like Roost is his better play because I still definitely had one turn of Perish Song that I could stay in after that turn, but he does make the nice read of going for Earth Power here, so he could have just predicted me to switch out to Cobalion there, predicting him to Roost. So either way, it was a nice play on his part, but this turn I'm in a really solid position to just click Close Combat. He has Electivire left, he has this Hydreigon, and he has his Azumarill, so he's not in the greatest of positions to switch into an offensive Cobalion. I'm going to click Close Combat, and we are going to KO this Azumarill. So yeah, Cobalion really putting on the pressure. We're going to get Lefty's recovery back in the process, which is nice. Put us at a range of health where something like a Thunder Punch, like Scarfed Thunder Punch Electivire won't be able to kill us if he's like a physical variant or something like that. And I don't know at this stage if he is a Scarfed variant of Electivire. He did switch out last time, but that may have been because he felt like he couldn't kill me from full, not that because he didn't have like Scarf Volt Switch. So we're gonna get nice lefties back, as he's gonna bring in his Electivire here. He knows Hydreigon will be outsped and OHKO'd by close combat at that range of health. His Electivire is taking the chip I need for it to be in range of close combat, and again I'm gonna scout. Like I don't know if he is a Scarfed variant or not, so I'm gonna go out into my Thunderous here just to sack it off. The reason I sack it off is if he's if he's like Scarfed Ice Punch, my Decidueye is not going to appreciate taking 2 after rocks, and I can, however, switch into an electric move into an Ice Punch, which is nice. So he's going to go back out into his Hydreigon, which just means I can bring back out my Cobalion and just repeat this process, get a kill with close combat. As yeah, he really just has to pick a sack at this point. You know, his Electivire is looking like a threat from the way he played it just then. I'm thinking at this point in the match that he is a Scarfed variant. He's playing it as such. I don't have any information other than that. I couldn't determine damage based on the Volt Switch damage on my Thunderous because Scarfed Volt Switch killed from that range of health anyway. So we are getting nice lefties back though. You know, putting Cobalion at a reasonable amount of health, pretty solid. As he's going to bring back out his Jirachi, and I am going to switch this turn back out into my Suicune. If he does want to go into make a double or go for U-turn here, out into Electivire, I do have Protect to scout for the what a potential Scarfed Electivire wants to lock himself into. As yeah, his Jirachi is just going to make the double switch out into his Electivire, which is nice, good for him. Like I said, I can just protect here, get some more lefties back, scout a potential Scarfed Electivire's choice of move, which is going to mean that if he wants to click Ice Punch predicting my my Decidueye to come in, I can just stay in with Coon. If he wants to click Volt Switch, I can switch out to my Decidueye, but he's going to click Wild Charge here, and I'm going to make the switch out into my Decidueye. If this is not a Scarfed variant of Electivire, my Cobalion just wins. If he is a Scarfed variant, then my Decidueye easily tanks a Wild Charge. I am Rocky Helmet as well, so this Wild Charge is going to be doing significant damage to this Electivire. He's going to be taking the Recoil chip, and he's going to be taking the Helmet damage and potential Life Orb if he's a Life Orb variant. And you're going to see he gets a crit. Now this crit may not seem important, but you're going to see this turn here, he actually reveals the Ice Punch. So he's not a Scarfed variant, so he didn't have a Scarfer, unless his Jirachi is a Scarfed Drain Punch variant. But what this means is, the interesting thing about this was, had he not got the crit, had he not got, he actually got like a max roll crit on the Wild Charge. Had he not got that crit, and then he got a max roll on the Ice Punch as well. I was in a position where I could have roosted, easily tanked a Wild Charge into an Ice Punch, as I mentioned earlier. From that range of health, I could have roosted up, easily outlasted that Electivire, given that I had the Rocky Helmet, and his Ice Punches were doing significantly less than 50. So Decidueye would have been in a good position to just win right there, but unfortunately we did get crit, so it is what it is. It's just going to affect the differential of this match, really. Not going to affect the outcome, as Cobalion can come in right here and just click Close Combat. If he goes out to Jirachi, then he's just going to get 2-KO'd. And then if he stays in, he's just going to get killed from that range of health. So Cobalion is just doing work, like putting the team on its back. Unfortunate to see the Decidueye go down. I did want to wrap the game up with with Decidueye because it definitely had some potential, but it wasn't meant to be. So in comes Jirachi. I'm going to switch out here and go into my Suicune because I am at -1 after the close combat. I am a Swords Dance variant of Cobalion, so I know that if for some reason my Suicune dies, I can bring my Cobalion in SD and take a Drain Punch at neutral, and then proceed to OHKO him with proceed to kill him from that range of health with a +2 close combat. As he is gonna go for the Drain Punch here. Now Suicune can do the whole protect sub Scald business, kind of burn him out of Drain Punches, which is something that I can do to ensure that my Cobalion wins no matter what. But I just want to see if he what sort of variant if he's Thunder Punch or Carmine T-Bolt or something like that. He is actually going to reveal Wish, so this is going to prolong the game a little bit because he's going to be getting, he's going to be getting that recovery back. But once I get a burn on this Jirachi, it won't be able to beat my Suicune. You see Drain Punch is doing nothing to Suicune anyway, so I can actually sub up on his Drain Punches, which is really solid. As this turn I'm just going to fire for Scald, and just trying to get damage. If I can get a burn, that's just, it's a bonus, but yeah, his Jirachi is going to be getting all that health back with the Wish, as Suicune is getting a ton back as well with the lefties, so his Iron Heads aren't going to be doing too much. This turn I do believe I sub, knowing that I can avoid him breaking my sub with his Iron Heads. And now Blue just kind of I think Blue messaged me at this point in the match. This game happened like at least 2 or 3 weeks ago. Blue messaged me and he's like, I won't prolong this, like I won't click Wish, because he knows that, I think it was after this turn that he said that, because he knows that he knows that Jirachi can't beat my Suicune, and it can't beat Cobalion either, especially because I have SD on that set, so I don't have to risk like losing to like a Drain Punch after the close combat drop. As his Iron Heads, he's just gonna start clicking Iron Head here. I'll get to crit on that one, not that it matters, but I believe we're gonna get a burn this turn on the Scald, which is just going to kind of quicken how so this turn Rachi gets burnt, and he's going to receive the Wish, but it was at this point that he was just going to start clicking Iron Head, so I am going to, I believe, switch out to my Cobalion and just start firing off close combats, as we just wanted the match to be over at this point. It was pretty late. I think it was really late for Blue. I think he stayed up quite late so we could have this game, so yeah, big respect for Blue for doing that. As I believe this turn I do switch out to Cobalion, and yeah, this end game is kind of it's very long and boring, but yeah, did what I had to do with my Coon to win. Really, I just needed chip. I just needed chip damage off on this Jirachi, like 10 or 50, like even like 10% with Scald, just to ensure that the next close combat from Cobalion killed, and I didn't have to suffer the drop and then get a Drain Punch. But when he did reveal Wish, it did definitely prolong this game, which is fine. Like, I can understand that. As yeah, he's going to start just clicking Iron Head, and I think this turn I do switch out to Cobalion just to show that I did have Swords Dance, to kind of explain the thought process behind my plays, as I wouldn't have had to have risked the the close combat drop. He clicks Ice Punch by accident that turn. He didn't mean to potentially freeze my Cobalion and prolong the game even further, but yeah, I'm just gonna go for the Swords Dance this turn, just to show Blue what my set was, as yeah, I will be able to take out the Jirachi next turn in close combat. So yeah, this was week 7. Like I said, happened a while ago. Just being busy with finals, NPL, and playoffs and all that, so I haven't really had a chance to upload this yet. But big shout outs to King Bub for recording this game for me, and shout outs to JaCubAsAlways for genning my team for this week. So yeah, big thanks to those dudes. I'm gonna take out the Jirachi here with the close combat, and that is going to be the game. That is going to be week 2. So we move on to week 8. Week 8 we face up against Aki. Good game to my man Blue, by the way. A very fun match. Like I said, we'll probably play in playoffs, so that match is definitely not that important. Chances are when we face the third time round, it's going to be quite interesting building for that. So like I said, next week we face off against Aki, which is going to be tight. Aki and I good buddies, and it's going to be very fun to play him. He's definitely got a solid team. Scary team with Kyurem and Conkeldurr, so that's going to be very fun. And yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.